All right, today we're jumping into a really powerful framework for leaders, and it's called the outsider's advantage.
So let me ask you this. Is your team's expertise actually holding you back? I know, it sounds kind of crazy, right? I mean, we spend our whole careers trying to build up that deep expertise, hiring the smartest people we can find. But what if that very knowledge, the thing you value most, is secretly the biggest roadblock to your next big breakthrough?
So, how on earth can expertise become a problem? Well, that question takes us right to the heart of what we're tackling today. It's a cognitive bias, and it's called the expert's trap.
Okay, so think of it like this. The more you know about the right way to do something, the deeper those mental habits get carved into your brain. Pretty soon, your team's expertise isn't a strength, it's a set of blinders. They get so good at navigating the map they've been given, they literally can't even imagine a different map exists. And that is exactly when innovation just stops.
So, if the expert's trap is the problem, what's the solution? How do you get out of it? Well, the answer is this amazing framework, the outsider's advantage. It's all about intentionally bringing in a fresh but still expert perspective from a totally different field to crack your toughest problems. And you see this all through history, right? It was a watchmaker, not a sailor, who solved the problem of navigating at sea. It was a vacuum cleaner company, not a car company, that designed a revolutionary electric motor.
And our hero for this idea is the brilliant robotics expert Yoki Matsuoka. Now, she wanted to solve these incredibly tough problems in robotics. But instead of just going deeper and deeper into the same old AI algorithms, she did something wild. She took a massive leap into neuroscience. She started looking at the human brain, not like a biologist would, but like an engineer trying to reverse engineer the thing. And that outsider's perspective, it totally revolutionized her work in both fields.
So why does this work so incredibly well? Well, it really comes down to three things. First, outsiders just don't know what's impossible, right? So they're totally free to ask the questions that everyone else is too afraid to ask. Second, since they don't have the industry standard tools, they're forced to break the problem down to its absolute first principles, its basic truths. And finally, they bring in these powerful analogies from their own world, like Matsuoka applying robotics to the brain, and that can unlock completely new ways of solving things.
And this curve here, it shows the whole idea perfectly. Look, you start out as a beginner, low expertise, not much innovation. Makes sense. Then you become an expert. You've got high expertise, but your innovation is usually just incremental, making the current thing a little bit better. But the real magic, that happens at step 3, the outsider. And this is key. This isn't a beginner. This is an expert from a different field who transfers their knowledge over, and that's what creates those massive, game-changing breakthroughs.
Okay, so we get the why. Now let's get practical. How do you, as a leader, actually start to build this outsider perspective into your team? How do you make it part of your culture? All right, here's your playbook. First, when you're hiring, look for that other resume. The marine biologist who became a finance whiz, or the philosophy major who's now an amazing coder. Second, on your own team, you've got to promote what's called productive ignorance. Make it safe, even celebrated, to ask those basic dumb questions. Third, rotate your best people into totally different departments. And finally, when you're really stuck, just ask the question, how would a biologist solve this? Or how would a chef fix our supply chain?
Look, if you want just one simple rule to put into practice, this is it. For your next big, high-stakes project, make this a hard rule. At least 30% of that team must come from outside the project's main field. It's a non-negotiable. It forces that fresh thinking right from the very start.
Now, I want you to really think about this for a second. Every industry, every single company has these unquestioned rules, these sacred cows. The assumptions that are so deep, nobody even thinks to question them. What's yours? I guarantee an outsider would spot it in about 5 minutes.
Okay, so the most important part is putting this to work like right now. So here is your Monday morning action, something you can do with your team next week.
You're going to run a super simple but really high-impact exercise. It's called a problem swap. The best part? It costs nothing, it takes almost no time, and it will immediately get that outsider thinking going.
Here's exactly how you do it. This week, I want you to take a tough marketing problem and give it to your engineering team, and then take a tricky engineering problem and give it to your marketing team. Now, you have to make it super clear. The goal is not to find the perfect answer. The only thing they need to deliver is a list of dumb questions and crazy ideas. That's it. You're just mining for those insights you can only get from a fresh set of eyes.
And so that leaves us with this one last thought to chew on. As you head into your next big meeting, just ask yourself, and ask your team, what huge problem are we trying to solve by just throwing more experts at it, when what we really need is the powerful, simple insight of a curious outsider?